I was born and raised in the state of Idaho, taught school there for several years. Then I moved to Colorado and attended Northern University of Colorado for my master's degree, and moved on to Denver, Colorado, and did my PhD work at the University of Denver.
Okay, once you got educated, then what happened in your life?
I found that there was the concept of health and energy that needed to be studied because there was problems with toxicity, problems with stress, and that there must be some way to avoid some of these chemicals that we were building up in our system, causing that toxicity. And so, in looking at it, I found a way to begin to work on restoring energy and working on better health. I was approached at one point where they said, okay, it works, but what is it and how does it work? And that, I hate to answer things like, I don't know. And so I began doing a lot of research around the world and found over 1,500 references to the material that I had been working with that had worked so well, and decided that I'd put a cover on the front and back of that work. And that was the research project that is now a textbook.
And that, we're going to talk about that in a little while because you did a lot of research.
Yes.
But that research led you to a, I laugh a little bit because I've never heard of it, but what we're talking about today is fulvic minerals. And I'll be honest with you, when we first met, I thought you said folic, and everybody's heard of folic acid. So I thought, well, we're going to do a show on folic acid. And you said, no, it's fulvic minerals. Well, in the intro, I talked about the world being mineral deficient. So that's what we're going to talk about. Because of this lack of minerals, it led you to a product that is called fulvic minerals. So I want to talk about that.
Folic would be a material from vegetable base. But fulvic, Fulvic, is actually a collection of organically formed water-soluble minerals that I use, and that is the electrolyte that takes place, allows our bodies to actually be energized. All life is electric.
So give me some symptoms. What type of a symptom would a person, heart disease is an epidemic, cancer is an epidemic, diabetes, all these illnesses are out there. Give me some symptoms that a person would probably be suffering with today that would be a tell sign, hey, I'm deficient in fulvic minerals.
Perhaps you would notice that you would be a little more tired. Then functions began to slip, and we began to have signs of not being able to complete tasks as well, perhaps not think as well. And so what I'm saying is we need the energy, the charge, in order to make everything function in a balanced way. It's not magic. It's just assisting the body to function as it was designed. Why does it not function? Toxicity drains the battery. It shorts it out. And stress takes a toll on our energy.
Well, you said not to call it a magical nutrient, but it sounds to me like a magical nutrient. If you can put this nutrient into your body and it can alleviate some of these things you're talking about, why in the world have we not heard about this before now?
Up to this point, we have become very oriented to the chemical quick fix. You take a chemical and it immediately has a reaction. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes we need something that would be an immediate fix. But there's nothing like reestablishing the immune system. There's nothing like encouraging the body to do its own thing, because we were created as a great machine. And that machine has the ability to function very well when balanced and has proper nutrients, proper rest, and is detoxified.
Well, I know I read a lot about digestive enzymes. That's what you're talking about,
That's correct. Right? And the same thing with amylase. Might not be the word we hear, but something to help sugar and carbohydrates break down and become usable to the body for energy. Lipase breaks down fat and triglycerides. And so if you have that on switch, the enzymes to help assist, then you have a chance. You see, most people don't realize, but the hardest thing we ever do in our whole life, the thing we spend the most energy on, actually is digesting food.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, if you want to think of it as a picture, 9 hours a day digging ditch with a pickaxe and a shovel equates to digesting 3 meals. If you want to spend another 2 or 3 hours, have a steak about 8 o'clock at night, and you just are digging ditch a little longer.
I want to talk about that because you mentioned something that just hit me. Because of this program, and I'm sure others like it, people are now going to start hearing about fulvic minerals. So, I don't. Why wouldn't they just race out and buy one off the shelf? Why would they want to pick your product?
I would say that probably I have more collected research on the subject. It took me 9 years to put the first book together, and it was published in 1993. And now we are seeing a movement toward this. And that is so rewarding to me. And people are finding it to be an answer.
Matter of fact, let's talk about that. You said earlier matter of fact, I skimmed through this last night. I only had it for one day, so I wasn't able to read the whole book. This thing is huge, and it took you how many years of research, and how many years did it actually take you to write this book? Because the thing must weigh about 10 pounds.
To be exact, it does weigh 5, and it's almost 1,000 pages. And the time it took was a little over 9 years from point of beginning until it went to the publisher in 1993.
And through the research and information that you've compiled over all these years, you've come to the conclusion that people are deficient in this fulvic mineral, and if they can naturally get it back into their body, then they can start to see a benefit in a lot of the diseases and illnesses that we're suffering from.
That's correct. And anybody can take a look at it. They can experiment with it themselves. But what they will find is that they write their own ticket as to health or lack of it. The problem, though, was that even though DDT was banned, they still make it in the United States.
Yep.
And they just ship it
offshore
down south, and our vegetables, our tomatoes come back with DDT.
They call it offloading. A lot of people don't know that, but just because something's been banned here in the United States doesn't mean it's banned offshore.
That's correct.
The pharmaceutical companies have to make their money from somewhere. Let's talk about, these pesticides and chemicals are being sprayed on the earth. They're contaminating our foods. How do I know that those pesticides and chemicals aren't winding up in this product?
Very important. This is mined from down in the earth. This is a material that has not been exposed to it. You see, after Rachel Carson's book, they actually had a situation where in 1970 the government was encouraged to set up some way to evaluate this. 1970 is when the EPA, environmental program, was put together, and you could become responsible for using something you shouldn't. But what I have found is that actually the same chemicals are being used, they just renamed them. Or they reformulated them a little bit, and they're even worse than they were in 1962. And so we, as individuals, have to assume some responsibility in knowing where the problems are and assuming the responsibility to not use things that we know are harmful to us. And so it's an educational process. And that's what you and I are doing today, is trying to help people understand there is a better way.
One, people in America are deficient of this fulvic mineral. And two, by taking your fulvic mineral formula, they can see results and not have to worry about getting those toxins.
Absolutely. I am so convinced that I stake my reputation, I stake my livelihood on the fact that I am correct.
I've actually got 2 nephews down in California, and my brother-in-law had to take them to the doctors because the school teachers say that they're just out of control and they're trying to diagnose them with these diseases. And the first thing they do is they try to shove them full of drugs. Well, your child's deficient in this drug. That's why he's acting up. Can this product help?
What I would suggest is that we look at a system, at a person, and understand how important balance is and begin restoring the system. Where we have a conflict sometimes is that someone is trained in a narrow category, and you say, okay, there are behavioral problems. What do we do to short circuit it? What can we give them to slow them down?
You're talking about drugs.
That's correct. And the drugs then can create more problems, can create toxicity, and secondly, do not necessarily address the problem. And so I would say, try it and see if there isn't a natural way to do it. If we are frustrated, if we have pressure and problems, if our body isn't doing what we need it to do, and we don't know what's wrong, no wonder we might react. No wonder we might function in a poor way, and it might get on people's nerves, and it might not show up as having positive grades or whatever. We might disturb the whole class. We need to take a look at every resource possible to solve that problem in a natural way, if we can.
So we're talking about a product, Fulvic Minerals, that in your opinion, is totally safe for children, totally safe for senior citizens. As a matter of fact, you say it's safe for pets.
Absolutely. And that's where a lot of research has been done in our company and through a foundation, that we do have answers to change behavior. Take a racehorse, for example. They usually are faunching and nervous, high-strung,
right,
ready to go, kick, they chew the wood in the stall, etc., etc. Chickens, you can take 20,000 of them, and they are high-strung in this little confinement, 35 feet by 500 right. feet long. And when they have proper nutrient, they settle down. I had one guy tell me on his racehorse, he said, "You ruined my racehorse because it's so settled down." But I said, I didn't plan to do that, but let's try something. Go ahead and put it in the race and let's see what it can do. I was lucky. I should have bet money on him. Because what happened was that horse was not in any way stymied. That horse was in no way less competitive. It just was more settled down. And when the race was over, usually when we work out, let's say a racehorse, we have to take them and turn them. That's right. This horse was ready to go again.
So it had a calming effect when the horse needed the calming effect, but yes. It allowed it to burst when it needed it.
Absolutely. Probably had more stored energy to allow it to explode and in a timely manner. And so do I say that every child's problem could be handled with these minerals? I would say that for mine, I would insist on them using it. But I'm not here to say that it's an answer for everything, but I can tell you one thing. If every cell is electric, all of life is electric, we need balance. Then it's a very positive possibility that this could help restore balance. This could act as a trickle charger, and this could give a calming effect so that we can concentrate on what it is we need to do.
I just can't believe we're not hearing about this before now. I mean, I've been studying stuff for years, and all of a sudden this thing came up, and I looked at it and I thought, man, this thing seems impossible. I mean, why is it taking so long?
I would say that all of us are in a narrow category of our own expertise. Perhaps we might call it tunnel vision.
Okay.
Everybody who has answers learned their answers in tunnel vision. I have tunnel vision. I am more interested in developing formulas or answering personal questions for myself. I'm not a marketing person. I met a very good friend who introduced me to the fact There is a way to tell the public about this. And you and I are sitting across the desk from each other today with an experiment. We're going to see if there are people out there who are interested in trying something that I know works.